Hello, welcome to Air Cooled Performance. My name is Wayne Calderaro. I am the Harley Doctor. Today we're going to continue on our 2010 CVO Street Glide cam and oil pump and cam bearing situation renewal. And on our last video when we closed out, we said, well, we're going to evaluate everything and then we'll bring you back with a plan on what we're going to do. And so, it's real easy to tear everything down and get it out and all, but then you have to check stuff and make sure that it's good. And so that's what we're doing today, bring you up to speed on what's happening there. First we'll start off with the oil pump. If you recall, the pump had a whole lot of scarring in it. And if you can see this discoloration there, if I can get my finger on it, right in here. See that discoloration there? What that is a piece of hardened material that has embedded into the pump body. Now, a little bit of scarring, like when you're tearing into these things, a little bit of wear pattern, is normal. But these are some pretty deep, I don't know if you can see them. These are some pretty deep grooves in this bad boy. And so what we've ascertained is the cam bearings were failing, especially the front one. That's usually the one that gives us the most trouble. I don't know why, but that's usually the way it goes. And so the front cam bearing was failing, so pieces of the bearing material were being circulated, and the oil pump was the first order of business to pick it up. And then after that, see if we could show you if you can see these tappets here. Let me wipe it off some. If you could see the divots in them, in the wear. So that's one, and then here's the other. I mean, you can see it's got some pretty serious damage right there. So what happens whenever that occurs, then you've got metal floating around in the motor, which is not good. So after we tore everything down, one of the things we did was we went over here and we flushed all this cam chest area out. And luckily we didn't see hardly any metal particles or whatever coming out of that, just very few. So we probably caught this thing just in time. And and then this here will show you, this is the cam. If you can see the damage on that camshaft. This is the front cam. You can see, man, it was putting a whomp on it. And see, and what happens like with a cam is case hardened. And so about the outer 50 or 60 thousandths of skin is hard. Probably high 50s, low 60s hard, Rockwell. So once you get through that, once you get past that case hardness, you're into soft metal. And we were right at that point. We were fixing to do that. And so luckily, I think we caught this thing just in time. But you got to remember now, this motorcycle's only got 31,000 miles on it. And the gentleman that owns this bike is, he rides, I wouldn't say it's not a hot rod, just him and his missus, rides on this thing and so on and so forth. And you can tell by the condition of the motorcycle, man, this thing is a baby, So I'm not really sure why we had all this situation. I do know this, that sometime in its life, if you can see what's left of the Sharpie here, somebody had been inside this motor before. And also, we've already cleaned up this bushing here. This was super rough in here. And we've already addressed that. We've cleaned that up. And then right in here on 06 and later, let's see, 06 Dyna and 07 and later everything else, the cam bearing on the outboard side is made into the cam plate. This is hardened T6 aluminum. And this is your bearing. This is where the cam, hear that? This is where the cam runs. And so, you know, it's got a little bit of slop in it here, but it's not atrocious. And this one here is probably a little worse, but they're still within specs. You know, we measured them with Trimike, which is a precision measuring tool for measuring bores, and we were within spec. We're still going to do a little bit of polishing on it and all to make it a little bit smoother. And you heard that squeaking sound, so that means we got a high spot. And so we will address that to where when it'll be in there, it'll spin freely. And then another thing on this cam plate, if you can see this area of discoloration in here, and see how it's kind of clean, shiny up in there. So what that tells us is that's further proof that cam bearing was going bad, because it's put the cam, instead of running perfectly concentric, it was in a bind. I mean, that's exaggerated, but you get my drift. It was putting wear up here. It was putting pressure to where that bushing or that race was wearing here at the top of this plate. And as you can see, hardly nothing here. So we're going to lap that true. That's an important thing, excuse me, because you want to make sure these cams are running parallel, but they also have to be concentric to the cam bearing and to the cam plate. And if they're not, you're going to have a repeat performance of what we've got here, or maybe even worse. So we don't want no days like that. And, you know, like this, like I said, these cams, you know, they're heat treated on the outside. And I mean, you know, these things are tougher than woodpecker lips. You know, so when you eat through them, you're doing something. And so anyway, that's, we've got a new set of cams. We're going back with the same type of cams, the 255s. That's a good torque cam for a big sickle. So we're going to be going back with that. And the beauty of that is too, when you go back with what was in there, we're not going to have to concern ourselves with a tune. You know, if we would have went with a bigger camshaft with a more radical timing profile, then we would probably have to have the thing remapped. And so this way here, we shouldn't have to do any of that. Other than the noise, the sickle was running good. You know, I mean, it's a beautiful bike. But we're going back with real good components, like with the tappets. We're using the S&S high performance tappets, lifters, whatever you want to call them. And when you do this job, the best way to get the push rods out, as you saw in our previous video, is a bolt cutter. We cut these bad boys out so we don't have to pull the rocker boxes in the gas tank and, you know, so on and so forth. Much better plan. And if you look at it money-wise, by the time you pay your guy to pull the tanks, to pull the rocker boxes, and then all the internals in there that have to come out, the rocker arms and so forth, in order to fit the standard push rods, you're way ahead with the adjustable set. Money-wise and performance-wise, because we can turn this, we can tweak this into an exact zero lash situation, whereas, you know, there's a cushion factor with the stock push rods. And so we're going with the S&S brand push rod and push rod tube kit. This is the way to go, man. S&S makes good stuff. And also, before I go any further, I want to do a shout out to some folks. I want to recommend to you a couple of dealers. A lot of folks are dealer shy, and we don't slam anybody on this channel or in this shop. That's always been our way. We don't. If something's bad, I'm sorry it happened to you, but we're not going to slam them guys. We're going to fix you and get you out of here right, and that's all I can say. But I would like to say a big shout out to Man of War, Harley Davidson in Lexington. Mike, parts manager Mike, and his team out there, good bunch of folks, man, good bunch of folks. And also want to shout out to High Stakes Harley Davidson in Florence, Kentucky. Steve there in the parts department, very knowledgeable fella. I had cam bearings I had to pick up, and I couldn't find them anywhere. And I taught a lot of times you'll talk to these folks, and it's like a deer in the headlight. Unless they can look it up on the computer, they don't know. Well, when I was talking with this young man, he knew exactly what I was talking about, and I appreciate that. And so thank you, Steve. Big shout out to you. And also those two guys, those two shops, if you're in the market for a new motorcycle, or if you want to buy me a new motorcycle, go there. They'd be glad to help you out. I'm just kidding. Don't buy me a bike. Buy yourself one. I'll be happy for you. All right, so now getting back to, and we're also changing out the chains. This bike had a little over 5 thousandths run out at the pinion, and we discovered that by using this pinion runout tool. This goes onto the case. The pinion shaft goes through here, and we rotate the engine, and this dial indicator lets you know who's who at the zoo. And this bike had about 5 thousandths or so indicator run out, which makes it not a candidate for a gear drive cam, unfortunately. The chains are a lot more forgiving. What happens is this. Let's say, like, if we'd have put a gear drive cam in this motorcycle, and it's showing 5.5 thousandths run out. Okay, the chain has got, there's some forgiveness in there because it's a chain. When you go a gear drive, I mean, it's dead nuts, man. I mean, it's got to be right. There's a little bit of backlash in there, but with a 5 thousandths, and then as the bike wears, it's going to only get more. So what's going to happen if you have more than 3 thousandths run out on your pinion shaft, what's going to happen is you're going to snap that pinion shaft because those gears are not going to forgive. It's going to find the place of least resistance, and that will be out there on the very end of that pinion shaft where it goes through this bushing right here. And I have seen this happen several times. And, we counseled, don't put a gear drive cam in this motorcycle. Well, Wayno, I want a gear drive. Well, I wouldn't put it in there. And so anyway, lesson learned, and that's an expensive lesson because that pinion shaft is made to the flywheel half. Dig what I'm saying? So anyway, so if you've got more than 3 thousandths run out, your motorcycle is not a candidate for a gear drive cam. We're a big fan of the gear drive cams, but only if they're going to do their job and do it to where you can, enjoy the bike without having any issue. If you're having issues, then why do it? So anyway, and then also we're replacing the tensioners. We've got brand new tensioners here to go on the job. And what we like to use, and we'll either use genuine Harley or a company called Fueling. And I don't know if you remember years ago, Fueling made a 3-cylinder engine off of a V twin, like with one more cylinder. Pretty cool thing. It never did take off, but I remember going to the dealer shows and seeing them. I thought they was pretty cool. But Fueling makes good stuff, And then another thing that we're going to be doing now is you saw the damage on this pump here. And so what we're going with this time is we're going with a high volume pump, high performance pump. And what this is going to do for us is, what you need to remember, a Harley's not like a car. A car has flat bearings around the crank and the cam bearings and so on and so forth. So it is designed to have a cushion of oil between the bearing surface and the crank or the rods or the cam or what have you. Anything with a flat bearing, it's designed, there's a gap there that's to be filled by oil, which is put there by oil pressure, okay? Now, Harley Davidson does not have flat bearings. Every bearing in a Harley is either a ball bearing, a roller bearing, or a needle bearing. You're not going to find a flat bearing in this bike. There's bushings in some of the older machines, but that doesn't matter. That's a different case. So what we need volume, because pressure will not stay in a loose bearing environment because there's nothing to contain it. The flat bearings contain it, like in a car, but on a motorcycle, like on a Harley, that's not that way. Jet bikes may be, metric motorcycles might be like that, and some of them, I'm not sure, I don't mess with them. But nothing wrong with them, I just don't do them. But anyway, so like for example, our cam bearings here, if you'll notice, this cam bearing get where you can see, it's got a full complement of roller bearings in it. Whereas the stock bearing is bearing spacer, plastic retainer between each needle bearing, where this is like a Torrington style, where it has a full complement of bearings going all the way around it. This is what you want. And so we're going back with that. And we have the correct tools. When you pull that bearing, you need to make sure that you have a tool to pull that with. Now, this is a specific tool just for that job. But I do know that I think Hobo Freight makes a sealed bearing puller with got a slide hammer on it. The main thing is you want a puller that will encapsulate this bearing as it's being pulled out, because you don't want to drop these needles down in the crankcase. You follow me? So you always make sure that you have a puller that's able to do that type of job. So anyway, that's where we're at. I wanted to bring you up to speed on what our plan was. And our next order of business is we're going to pull these bearings. We've done flushed everything. We're going to pull these bearings out, and we're going to put them back in. We have the correct tool to press the new bearings in also. And the thing about that, you don't have to have that tool to put them in. You can use the old cam as a driver, but you want to make sure when this bearing is seated into the engine case, number one, there's two sides of this bearing. There's a flat side that has numbers and letters on it, and then there's a side over here that has a radius. Can you see the difference? How this side is flat and this has got a roundy radius on it. This part goes in the engine. The radius goes in the engine. So you can use, the cam as a driver. Put the bearing on there, tap it in, but you want to make sure once that bearing is in there, you want this flat face out toward you, and probably about what the tool is designed to put them in about 30 to 40 thousandths below surface, which is factory. So, the main thing is you want that bearing face just a little below surface. And the correct tool will do that for you. But before I had the tool, I used a many old cams to put cam bearings in, okay? You can do that too. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I appreciate you guys tuning in and all. And I wanted to bring you up to speed on what we're doing so far and what our business plan was to get this bad girl back on the road. And so our next thing, like I said, is we flush the cases out and make sure there wasn't no debris or whatever inside there. And now that we've done that, we're going to commence with the build back. And, we will be checking things. We've already checked, like the bores that these lifters go in. We've already measured that and made sure, confirmed that they're in spec. All that's good. And, the best tool you ever have in your toolbox is your double check. I remember my dad telling me all the time, always double check. Double check your double check if you have to. And if you have to think, will this be all right? No. If you have to wonder if it's going to be okay, it ain't okay. Fix your pig right and she'll take care of you. And so that's what we try to do. We're not God's gift to Harley Davidson, but we do try to do a very good job for the machine. I've had some customers that are colorful, and some of them are on the, I guess they don't know sometimes, but you have to explain it to them, and some folks don't want to be explained to, but we do this because I think it's important that you know what's going on with your bike. Like in this case here, when we got this machine tore down, the owner was close enough to come over and check it out. And so I like to explain to you why we're doing what we're doing. And we do stuff from all over the place. I've even had, I had one years ago that went to Italy, had 2 engines go to Italy, but we still were able to take videos and photographs and talk. At that time, we didn't have whatever the thing is, but we talked on the phone and we shared photographs. Well, now we have the FaceTime. So if you're too far away, we can FaceTime each other and you can look and see exactly what I'm doing and so on and so forth if we're doing your work. But the purpose of these videos is so you can do your work. And you can. And, this is not rocket science. It doesn't have to fly. It just needs to be done correctly. And the main thing is, if you have an issue with stuff coming apart and going back together, take pictures, make notes. There is no shame in that, none whatsoever. I do this stuff for a living. I've been doing it for 50-something years. And, thankfully, I know where everything goes, but I didn't start off that way, I started off at 9 years old with my dad having me wash parts in gasoline while other kids was playing baseball. But that's another story. But he was a great guy, man. He was a great guy. I love him. I miss him. I wish he were here with these videos with us, that you'd enjoy him, because he was probably one of the greatest guys I've ever known, and he knew these things. Lord have mercy. And but anyway, thank you very much for watching and subscribing. And to you folks that have subscribed, some of you I've been able to contact you and say thank you personally. And if I have not done that or whatever, please don't be offended by it. I do thank you. I thank you so much for watching these videos. We're doing this because it's enjoyable for us to do. And I think this will save you some money down the road. And, Harley Davidson, they'll say it, if I have to explain, you wouldn't understand. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. And, like my Lucille over here, that's my Sturgis. She's a belt drive Sturgis motorcycle. I have a son that I named after her. His name is Sturgis. That's another story too. I also have a daughter named Harley. But anyway, but I love you guys. Thank you for watching. And I really appreciate it so much. And we're trying to do this in a short, concise manner. This one's a little long, but I wanted to give you an overview of our game plan. And I never like to leave anybody hanging on what's happening or anything like that. So again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And most importantly, please make God part of your day. I promise you, you'll be glad you did. Thank you so much. Love you. See you soon.